And after a pretty nice first game, we have a nice second game coming to you guys right now. Arial Arise Academy versus Lycus Empire. And Galu, what are your thoughts going in this one? Preliminary thoughts.
I think coming into this game, anyone who says Arial Arise Academy aren't the favorites is probably incorrect. I think Lycus Empire, the team coming in through our qualifier spots, have kind of struggled to get their mark on the scene so far, and this is their breakout opportunity for it. Their game the other day against Lycus against Luminosity, not really going the way they wanted to, but this is the lineup we got for you. Candle, Cryptics, Ozone, Aggro, and Wooz. And it was another one of these games on day one of the first Swiss round that went to 12 rounds. We had quite a lot of a treat for you the previous couple days. You're looking at this way this kind of panned out though. 0.86 ratings.
There you go.
So again, looking at what more sort of in line with the other teams that have fallen down in the first Swiss round. Their game was an interesting one. They were playing Villa. They were playing on one of these larger maps, and defensively, they looked pretty good, right? Lycus Empire. Nothing screams out as something that they're just throwing away. It was ultimately just Luminosity, stronger opponent, were able to kind of break them down a little bit. And I think that's going to be a case for a lot of their games here, where it is that underdog story coming up. And we'll just have to see how long it takes them to make their mark so far.
I mean, yeah, and we saw some bright moments from them. I actually really liked the pickup of Wooz. I believe he was a pretty recent addition to this team. And we saw him on that reality TV roster, former CL player. He was also on Outlast as well. And he's a great player, but, our highlight player is not Wooz. He did struggle a little bit in that first game. It's actually Cryptics, who played pretty well, pretty dang good in that first game, if anyone missed it. 1.3 rating, not too involved on the entry, but, you just look at the rest of the stats. His impact was definitely felt by by every single player on LG. So we're going to look to see, really hope that he has a big game. Anyone on Lycus Empire, just because, this is not an easy opponent either. If you're sitting there and you're going into a game where you're 0-1, you are not expecting a team like Arial Arise Academy to be the one that you're playing to prevent yourself from going 0-2. So it's going to be tough from them. Everyone's going to have to play well, not just Cryptics. But, look, we highlighted him. He's going to have a great game himself as well.
Well, and the opponents, Arial Arise Academy, Spiker, Ashen, Ambi, Uzi, and Neo. And, the rating won another very tight game, right, Joe? It was 8-6 that they lost out on.
Yeah, it was. And, we talked about it before. JJ talked a lot before it. Neo away for a little bit, so not really being able to scrim. But, we know that they didn't really scrim for SFCL. And, they were back-to-back SFCL champions. They did great, really, in that. So, you still would have expected them to be able to kind of not coast through that game, but still be able to win it. So, they're kind of in unfamiliar territory right now. They're not, undefeated anymore. They have to bounce back from a loss, which is, like we said, not something they've had to do before. So, now it's kind of that opportunity to really be able to do it. But we do have a little feature from Ambi that we have to show you guys, which I can't really wait to watch.
Hey, I'm Ambi and I play for Arial Arise Academy. I think our team will do very well against CL Pro League teams. This is our first competition league that we can compete against Pro League teams. I hope we can show why we're the best T3 team. Most CL teams are just bad. We've 7-0 2 CL teams already, so that's kind of exciting for us. Pro League teams, they might not expect us to play how we play, but they might. We'll find out soon. Our biggest team flaws, I say, we're a pretty new team. We recently left because he's turning 18, and so yeah, we have 2 new players, and kind of different roles, so we're trying to get used to that. But hey, nothing we can overcome, so we'll be all right. I think our whole team is capable of being in Pro League CL. We have Neo, he's our newest pickup. So I hope he can prove himself in this league. Yeah, I mean, Grayson, Uzi, that boy's nasty. Will be in Pro League, and Ashen. I mean, I think our entire team will be in Pro League one day. I'll kill. White 10. Smoke dance.
Plant.
Security dance.
How you moved? Yeah, nice stuff.
There's Skybridge.
Museum side? Black museum?
No clue where he went, Skybridge.
They're done. Amateur teams will impact, the competitive scene by like new, younger players proving themselves against pro league teams, so better exposure for younger players. So I think SCS is doing a great job of getting exposure for players, and I hope other leagues can replicate that. The pro league team allowed you to be on, I mean, TSM is a kind of a cool team. I think I said that last time too. Kind of like team up Bolo. That guy's pretty cool. I'd say the most slept on person on our team is probably Neo, because he's not really known yet, but he'll be known once he plays SCS and proves himself. Alright, so this one time, my mom applied me for this car wash job, and they get paid like $3 an hour. It's crazy. And I worked there for one day. I made like $47, and I quit the next day, and I never got my paycheck. So they still owe me like $47. So one day I'll get it. I don't know when, but I'll get it someday. Claro, she's literally my wife, and she will marry me one day. I mean, you can't go wrong with chocolate. That's just a default. If you don't like chocolate, then you're just kind of weird. 3, 2, 1. Dumbass.
My hand warmer's charged.
Yeah, I got you, my boy. One's repelled outside break, I'm pretty sure.
Op 4, last stop standing.
That was quite entertaining. I loved every second of it. It was everything I expected and more.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and we'll chuck to his stats, right? He was a big member for Arial Academy in their game last week, as we get to kind of see just how that played out for him. As well, the map vetoes, you're looking at what's gone away: Clubhouse, Skyscraper, Cafe, Bank, gone for the count. What we're going to see, is it going to be another chalet? Well, I guess we'll get to find out, right, as the next set of bans come flying on in Oregon. Villa, so a lot of these larger maps taken away, Lycus Academy losing Villa out last week, their opponents taking it away because they also lost on Villa, so thankfully not another rematch. Now we get to see a little bit more variety coming out for these teams. For the later weeks, that'll be a lot more impactful. Oh, Joe, it's going to be a theme park game.
Theme park. I like that. I like every little bit of that. You do see Lycus Empire starting on that defense, favored side, from what we've seen. But I mean, look, we've seen Arial ACAD on this map before. To my knowledge, they're quite good on it. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens with how Lycus really is on this map. I like this. I'm gonna ask you before I say what I'm gonna say, why you have this.
Okay, here's why. I think Arial Academy, very strong team, should not be slept on. I agree. Look, the head tells me they're going to win, but the heart, oh, Joe, the heart pulls towards Lycus, right? You're looking at some of these players. We saw Cryptics, we saw Scandal stepping up big in their game on Villa, both of them dropping double-digit kills. It's the rest of the team that kind of struggle to keep up the similar form. You talked about Woos coming in. These are the players you want to see have that step up. And I think a shaky first game in, if they can find their footing together, a map like Theme Park could be a really interesting chance for them to do that. They get to start on that defensive side. They get to sit a little bit more comfortably and kind of ease their way into the game. I think this could be the upset of the week.
Yeah, so my thoughts. Ozone, I have to preface this in very nice terms. Ozone is one of my boys. But I think Arial is going to come back and wax these guys. I don't think Arial's really going to take lightly to losing a game. And I think they're going to show a lot of personality, really, and kind of come back and really kind of reimpose their dominance from what we've seen before, kind of get back to what we've seen from them in past times. So that's kind of the way that I see this going. I'm kind of stubborn on that. So, I mean, we'll see how this goes.
Well, the ban's coming through. It's that Nook. Out for the count once again tonight, Joe. No team wants to deal with the ability to slip past their information. Cameras are a very lovely, reliable tool to have. Thermite getting taken out is a little bit more spicy, and Thermite is one of these operators you see we brought quite frequently by attacking teams on Theme Park, because you want to have access to make these large breaches to walk through on so many of the sites.
Yeah, and I actually, this is another thing to note about Arial ACAD. Their flexibility allows for them to be able to make bans like that, just because they can play in so many different ways. They can do so many different things that they really can ban any operator in the game and it won't hurt them. So I like that they're able to do that, and they can kind of counter ban teams if they'd like, kind of do their own thing. Whatever they want to do with their bans, it can be a good ban. So I like that they're able to do that. So these bans are really good to me, but these first couple rounds for Lycus is kind of going to be big for me because, like we said, I can say this so many times and it's not going to be any less true. It's a best of one. You don't have a lot of rounds to be able to sit there and figure things out. You got to get it. That IF against 6K took them a little too long to get into the game. They dropped 4 rounds right away. They started to find their footing a little bit, but they still weren't able to completely figure it out. They lose the game 7-4. I could see the same thing here. Lycus, they have to get off to a good start. If they don't get to a good start, let Arial, push the pace really early on in this game, Lycus will struggle to find their way back into it. So, first couple of defenses, going to be big from them.
Yeah, and you're looking at the lineups bringing out, mute that only form of denial means that when these attackers get to the breach, the impact TMPs, the frag grenades will be able to get rid of them very quickly. They will get access to that breach without much hassle. So it's going to be much more important to look at how they're playing away from that, how they're playing on the top floor and extending their horizontal roam as well. As you can already see Candle looking to get a little bit aggressive on this Mozzie, try and slow down this push coming in towards the cash balcony. That pest is going to make it a little bit more difficult to get the drone in. The Gemini still a tool that Uzi has available to him, but a little bit risky, right? He's all by his lonesome here.
Yeah, he is, and I kind of like this, but everyone's so spaced apart, and it's going to be good if they can find a pick, which they do. Ashen, able to find the opening pick. We've seen him, man. This guy is so good at finding entry picks, and the team is great at working off of them, so a big control from him right here as well. So much of this drug setup is made, but aggro through the wall takes him down, and Candle finds another one. That's Uzi on the Dragon Bow. Candle, another 1v1 going on the other side of the map, and Candle's able to win it. A 4v2 for Lycus. So many fights going down, and Ambi finds one back. Still, the action is not done. So much left to be decided. One player is stuck up here, but the other one does fall off. Candle looking to find another one, just misses. Spiker falling off, and a minute 20 left in the round. A lot of action is unfolded.
Yeah, now you're looking at this position on the Dragon Staircase, peeping underneath the Dragon's belly, able to grab one, looking for the second on the corner, not quite lining up for him there, still just baiting this peek. Ambi wants to go for it. Ambi will win it, the 1 versus 2, and this is where things get into that scary clutch potential here, Joe, because 1 versus 2 tries a nice little bit of mechanical showcasing, and Ambi is a player who we have seen is able to put it on when he needs to. Walking up to the doorway, still wary of potential players off of the site here, but now focusing towards this Dragon doorway. The split, the Goyo canister being used to burn away more of this very precious time. 20 seconds will go by, 22 will be left on the clock by the time it's gone. Ambi just trying to get rid of any other potential utility that will cause him a hindrance as a second Goyo canister goes off. That window is now down to 10 seconds. He's looking for this peek on in, looking to try and go, but it's going to be a rotation towards split instead. This split position, Aggro and Woos can hold the cross angle, but they're still so focused on this other doorway. They haven't turned around in time. Now giving away the Goyo canister, going to be given the line to sight, and Woos standing up on the table. There is no way you can put him in that position, and he's able to grab that final kill that they need to take the first round, despite losing the entry.
That scared me for a second. They reacted to that a little later than I thought they would. And I thought Ambi got an opening right there, but he did not. Lycus do take that first defense round, and it's a good start from them. Candle, beautiful. Just wait for him to do that. He was really just fighting off everything on that dragon side, on that cash side. He was just stuck in one little tiny little position, and he ends up getting 3 kills on that side on the Mozzie. I mean, who needs an alibi when you could play a Mozzie P10 Roni with a 1.5 as well? They both have it, so I mean, why not use it? But big defense round win for them. And we'll see if they can kind of keep that up and try and keep getting these rounds on these defenses, because as we know, as we looked at, their attacks were not so great on that Villa.
Yeah, it was definitely something that could come back to bite them. And now as you're setting up once again on the middle floor this time, on the second floor, for those of you in America, not that no Americans here, right? And but Candle looking to try and extend this roam as far as possible, looking to once again play around this catch doorway, play around this dragon window. Long lines of sight this time from the rest of the team with the 1.5s in tow will give them a little bit more potency, right? No longer just fishing for kills by himself. Bit more support coming in, which will just make it even harder. We saw what it did last time. Three kills, Joe. That's what he got.
Yeah, and those opening picks are going to really be big for them. And I mean, Arial got one, but they weren't able to really convert off of it. As we kind of noted before that round started, so many players were in so many different spots. They were very split, and they kind of got picked apart one by one, which is not something we really see too often from Arial. It's kind of out of character, if you could say. And Ashen does get taken down in the entry. Candle, again, with that big pick early. He falls off and escapes with his life. And Lycus, once again, have a man advantage in the round. And Andy trying to get some kind of pressure early, trying to find something back. And that is Uzi, who actually gets the job done. He just walks through cafeteria. He's going to fall back, however, but that's going to open up a lot of space for this Arial team.
Yeah, and that's Uzi being able to successfully pull off what he tried in the first round and be injured. Will be finished off by Woos, but still that threat of that lone roaming Yana behind you in the back of your mind. Yes, we can see those silhouettes. We can see he's now playing on control, but until they get that clear confirmation, always a concern. Still waiting patiently, haven't fallen too far away just yet, but the Selma charge being popped is going to give Woos the opportunity to look for a little bit more of an aggressive angle, but just completely vacates the foot height hole as Spiker grabs himself a double here, Joe, able to get Woos and Candle, and now the advantage has flipped firmly into Arial Arise Academy's control as they're working away at getting this breach open. The rotation hole, which is designed to be able to fall back through for the defense, now just giving that extra opening to the attack. A minute left for them to try and pull something off. The Talon 8 is being deployed by Neo, which gives a commanding view into daycare.
Yeah, in 45 seconds, no C4s, no nothing, and Uzi's starting to reposition as well. I'm not quite sure where he's at, but this is Cryptic's time, and Ozone ends up getting smoked by Spiker, his third on the round, and Cryptic has to make a crazy play to make this happen. He shoots a couple of bullets. That's going to make his position known. Uzi swings out. Cryptic's a beautiful shot to get rid of him. Makes it a 1v2. Spiker trying to put the bomb down. He ends up getting scared right off of it. Neo is watching the wrong angle. This bomb will go down. Not able to find the kill. Spiker, his fourth on the round. Arial brings one back, and Lycus had the man advantage twice in that round, not able to convert.
Yeah, they got the opening pick. They were able to play around with this aggression, able to get a little bit of work done, but ultimately, things just slipped through their fingers. It was Woos looking for that aggressive pick when the Selman's going off. You have the option, right? When you see that being opened, you can play a little bit more aggressively. You can try and go to get more for your team, or you can wait and play it back and stay alive. Not only did he die, his teammate Candle died trying to get the re-peek as well, and a wonderful little bit of play from Spiker to grab it. But ultimately, I think Lycus Empire, when you have these advantages, when that time is ticking away, it plays in your advantage as the defensive side, especially on a map like Theme Park. If you keep those members alive, you keep your crossfire options open for when Arial Arise Academy look to go for this plant, you're going to be in just a little bit better of a position to deal with it, because it just left your remaining two so vulnerable.
Yeah, and we do see a site switch. We see a lab storage, which is a site that's definitely more common now as more people are learning how to play it, learning how to attack it. So much more common of a sight. Initiation office not really brought out as much, and they are going to invest very heavy in this upstairs hold. Not too much on the across that I can see, to my knowledge, and absolutely nobody's on site, and not going to try and take advantage of it. You see cases on the other side of the map in the hands of Ambi on that on that ace on the other side, and that push is going to come across the map and trying to take as much control as they can, not trying to overcomplicate, not trying to do too much, just going to stick to what their game plan is, stick to what they're going to do, and try to limit those mistakes. And, hopefully get these round wins is probably their goal for the most part. Don't want to really rush anything, cause any unnecessary mistakes, because Arial, I'm sure that they know they're probably the better team, so they just have to make sure they're just doing their thing.
Well, have this control now over by Dragon, over by Control, and can start to push back further on the top floor. But it's Candle consistently grabbing picks for his team, being this nuisance, this thorn in the side of Arial Academy. And now this wall, able to use the EMP to provide a little bit of rest from that claw as they get it opened up and start to push further along through this top floor. But Throne, Ashen, he's in. He's trying to fight this Legion, but the consistent damage from that goo mine is just causing him so many problems. Ozone still waiting around patiently as Candle's able to grab a second kill for themselves, use that stim pistol to bring themselves back to full HP, undoing all the work that Academy have been able to achieve so far as Ozone swings around, goes left and right, bobbing and weaving, and grabs the kill as well. This is turning into a little bit of a slaughter as Academy are consistently trying to find these openings, but just keep walking into the bullets of Lycus Empire here, Joe. And now a minute 10 on the round, but a 2 versus 5 for them to overcome.
Yeah, and Ozone definitely stuck right there. He kind of knew, and it's a fine pick to give up. You still have 4v2, lots of control. All these players are bunched up, nothing, nobody in too bad of spots, and Arial still have a lot of work to do, but nobody's on that cam that I could see, and that's not great. Who's dead? Ozone's got to get on that. Oh, there's a BP. A lot. I shouldn't call him out like that. He's still on cams, and that's okay. But Neo going to start working his way down. 35 seconds to work with. Going to start droning here, seeing what information they can gather. But him and Spiker in a really tough spot. 30 seconds, starting to run out of time. The drones raining out from them, and not too much is going on. You see, look at these crossfires. All these players bunched up in corners, and that wall does get open. Player on top of that little angle, watching the door. Neo not going to be watching for this. Candle gets another one, his third on the round, a fourth from him. Absolute crazy performance to start off this game from Candle, showing what the Duck can do with his new buff, and Lycus take a lead once again.
How many times did he take damage and get knocked low HP? After his second kill, he was literally on 1 HP, Joe. That stim buff having just a massive influence in the round because he's able to continue his presence. He's able to continue to harass and annoy and irritate and get these kills for his team. And so far, we're seeing this roam, when they play it right, be beautiful from Lycus Empire. They're doing an excellent job of just playing these long angles, throwing so many kind of queries at Academy, right? Arise don't really know what they want to go for, because as they're pushing in, they have the option between you walk into the meat grinder of Candle or you walk into these other long lines of sight. My one concern coming out from Lycus is you're looking at that kill feed. You're looking at the scoreboard on the left-hand side of your screen here, Joe. Candle, 8 kills. The rest of the team, no one has more than 2. And there's something to be said. When a player is on fire and they collect every kill, fair enough, let them have it. But if this is more of a sign of the rest of the team not feeling it today, not being able to compete, then that, as the series goes on, you can't keep relying on big rounds from Candle. So, which is it going to be?
Yeah, it's not sustainable, I guess is the word. You can't rely. It's not a reliable way of playing, is to really just, let one player go crazy, get all your kills. You need other players to step up, and Candle, great, he's playing that well, but it's really hard to think that he's going to be able to do this for 7 rounds. They're not going to be able to win 7 rounds off of this, and he's getting confident. I like that he's not getting too confident. He's falling back. doing his thing. But, we just know this. They can't rely on it. So we talked about it. Cryptic's a big-time player from them. Woo's a big-time player for them. Those two guys need to step up big time if they are going to pull off this upset.
Well, Ashen already quite close to this site doorway, not too worried about anyone peeking out against him, as he's just clearing out the pests, the cameras, a couple more cameras, making his way up to this top floor. What is that shot? That is outrageous, Ashen. You cannot be doing that. But that's Candle off the table. That's a second one as Ozone falls as well. And now it's time to see if the rest of Lycus Empire can keep up the pace with so far a phenomenal performance from Candle. Wu's able to get the injure, but can't commit to finishing off that kill. Sophia should be able to be picked up, and while still on low HP, that's still a gun active, peppering away at Lycus. They've fallen back down now. You still have Woos lurking around in Drug because he is the player here who, if he can get behind, if they misdrone him, can have massive impact, but no, is going to reinforce this site, is going to continue to play around it.
Yeah, and I feel like I wish they kind of baited it a little bit more. Tried to get something out of that kill, because now, once again, they're in that 3v5, and a lot of work still needs to be done, but Cryptic's he's in a spot. If he just swings out a little bit, he'll be able to find one, but he does get spotted, I believe. Yes, he does, and he has absolutely no idea. Just gonna get smoked right here. Oh, they're not able to find the kill. Neo does not aggress right there either. Not able to find the kill. 30 seconds, time's starting to run out, but at the end of the day, they're still 2-man down right here, but can they get this wall open? I believe the hatch is going to get open. I don't think they're going to be able to get this open. Cryptix goes down, but Luz gets one back. A 2v4 for them. Aggro finds one. The hatch does end up finding a kill. Wooz doesn't hear the drop, I don't think. The case is starting to go down. Wooz, I believe there should be a cam right here, but someone will be watching it. He ends up getting taken down, and that hatch gets open, and maybe if Woo swings out a little bit earlier to watch that player, because that was the case to drop down the hatch, round goes a different way. Not able to do that, and Lycus now find themselves tied once again, trading rounds back and forth.
Yeah, it is a little bit dangerous to be doing this, though. They get to go back up to Bunk Daycare, the site that they won out before, off of, again, heroics from Candle, but ultimately a very strong setup to enable him, right? Because you're looking at these long lines of site that they're drawing. They have the deployable shields. They have these magnets coming in just to slow down the AAA, right? They're looking to just whittle them away. And I want to say that we'll see the same thing, but so far, Arial and Rise Academy have done a very good job of adapting to what Lycus Empire are doing. The previous round, as an example, right, they did a good job of changing up how they were attacking, focusing on getting this top floor completely cleared from one side. There was no more silliness with having Ozone be kind of the sole player trying to contest onto Candle. They recognize that's where he's been playing. That's the spot he likes to have. If you can get him off the board early, the rest of the team starts to slip to the wayside. And by investing so much pressure into him, they got him dealt with early. The rest of the team not quite up to pace yet.
Not up to pace yet, but I mean, players are still getting kills. It's just very spread apart. They're relying on winning gunfights over and over and over again against an Arial Rise Academy team that, we've seen people try to do that. And I'm not going to say it's impossible, but that's not the way you need to go about doing this. That's kind of what they're known for. These guys can all win their fights, and Woo's, what a beast for doing that. What a beast for doing that. I can't believe he went for that.
And now Ashen just going to turn around. He doesn't have the rest of the team there to help push this position out. The Nitro Cell thrown, Ambi not hanging around that hatch for too long. That's the rookie mistake you see Sledge players make. And this man is by no means a rookie. He knows exactly what he wants to do and get out cleanly. And now you're seeing a little bit of a slowdown, right? They have pressure on multiple sides of the map, but that attempt to opening up this breach looking into the B-bomb site, now that's been faltered, takes away that side stab in. Waiting to see if the control pressure can come through, as that's where most of these silhouettes are lined up. But for the time being, Candle, happy to wait patiently. This walks straight into Office, though, able to get onto this rotation to the top yellow. Player in close proximity, you're seeing the pings coming out as well. This could be a little bit dangerous, Joe.
Yeah, and I'm not sure there is information on this player of Neo, but there are shots going through, and I would say there is information. Neo does get swung. He is on 1 HP. He's in a very tough spot, and he does go down. Candle, they do know they should know, excuse me, that he's here, and he's kind of stuck in this corner. He's gonna need some assistance. No, they don't know he's this close.
They don't know he's close.
They don't know he's this close. They think he's in the other corner. 2 players here. He might be able to catch one off guard, which would be big. And oh, I got scared for a sec. I saw it jogging in place. Swings out, takes the Hibana down. Cannot find the second though. Ambi on 1 HP. Swings out again. Not able to find a second. That could have been a little bit scary right there. Spiker takes some damage as well, I believe, from his own aces. And 4v3 from Lycus. Candle does go down. Big play from him, but 40 seconds, a man advantage for Lycus, and a lot of work that Arial needs to do to be able to...
Well, able to get the bulletproof camera out of yellow just denies a little bit more information as they're able to push up onto this doorway, choosing not to go for the rotation, but it's Spiker with that diffuser on yellow stairs. Aggro playing from the top of Arcade is able to get the first. The swing comes back and shuts him down, but Cryptix has found his feet, he's found his footing, and he's able to grab one back. Spiker 1 versus 2 as he's able to catch that swing very quickly, but Ozone finds the final blow for them, and Lycus take the advantage in round count once again, 3-2, but we've seen the pattern emerging now, Joe. We know what's coming next. How do Arial Arise Academy break the hold?
I mean, they got to do what they've been doing. They just got to limit kind of those plays from Candle. Candle's making these big plays over and over and over and over again, and they're kind of walking into it. There was a Valk on the board right there. And there has been the whole time, and I really wish that it was used a little bit better from Lycus. I'm sure that, you know, with the way that they're playing, they could be using it a little bit more. But, you know, they had a Valk. They clearly knew that there was a Valk on the board. The way that Neo was looking around was completely unsure that there was any information on him, and he ends up getting first picked. They don't have the info that Candle's playing close. He gets a couple of kills as well. Excuse me, 1 right there. And you know, just making sloppy little mistakes here and there that they typically don't make on these rounds that they're losing. So, Lycus, I want to see them because there are these mistakes over and over again. You see Arial making them almost every round for the most part, but Lycus not really able to find a way to take advantage of them every time. So, for Lycus to be able to kind of break this, they need to do what they've done in the rounds that they've won. Have Candle make a play, because Candle's really the only one that's taking advantage right now of, you know, of all these plays. You know, not everyone's doing that. Candle finding the openings, taking them. Everyone else needs to do that. Everyone else can do that. They will win more rounds. Simple.
We are starting to see them step up in some of these rounds, right? The last one, Ozone, Cryptix, getting these important frags when they need to. So, you know what? I feel like we talk about them needing to step up. They're doing a good job if they want to keep this round count higher. If they want to be in a 4-1, that's what we're talking about, right? But now you're looking at how can they clear this out. Having these Flores playing closer towards Drug initially might help them out, clear some of this utility. Last time around, they really struggled with the Roam, though. Ozone still on this Legion is playing around Throne. They've set this up to be very hard to break, and when you get one member, the rest are so spread around. They have the long angles that you're always scared of that refrag coming on in. Getting the breach open on up, though, and forcing the player out of bunks, but it's Ozone grabbing one. Cryptix falls very quickly, though, as Spiker, he's inside of sight. The rest of the team are not back to deal with this. Air jabbing off the main door. Candle falls as Ashen is watching for the fallback. Ozone trying to run through kitchen as well. It just isn't going to work. The bathroom's being watched. The lobby's being watched. This is falling apart for Lycus Empire as they're trying to walk back in, but there are too many angles to deal with. Arial Arise Academy perfectly recognizing the mistake, the hole in the defense from Lycus Empire. They saw the window was open. They saw there was no one watching it. They grabbed the kill. They make the round theirs.
I mean, that was just beautiful. Kind of faking the pressure on the other side of the map to set themselves up for that kind of an execute. I mean, it's great. I don't know who called that. I want to know who called that. That was quite good. But, you know, they had players already ready in that position to be able to help them. It wasn't just like 2 players just took sight. For instance, like we saw Fish do last map, you know, he was in sight, but nobody really prepared to get to him or help him. Whereas in this round, you know, you had the two players go in. The Nomad was already ready to Nomad off the parts of sight. You know, you had a player already getting ready to bathroom window to be able to watch the cross. And just everything was watched. And not only were the two players there, just everyone was ready. So being able to cause that pressure across the map and be in a position to help is so well timed and so well coordinated, and a great round win for them just to tie it right back up. But look, we've had the trend before. They trade round after round after round. Doesn't matter how good one team looks. The other team just magically wins the next round anyways. So one team has to break this trend. They have to.
And this is where the beauty of Siege comes in, right? Yes, the map is the same. Yes, these guys are playing Throne and Armory, the same site as their adversary, but the lineup is quite different. You're seeing this Oryx come in for Ambi, which is going to be very interesting to see how they get to make use of it. There are a couple key hatches, but most of them are in the back of the opponent. It's the way you're looking for them to clear out this roam and try and jump up behind. That Rima dash is still just great for that mobility, that speed. Neo on the Capcan is a new treat. We haven't seen a Capcan today so far, Joe, and, well, it'll be interesting to see if Lycus Empire are keeping their eyes out for it. One of those gadgets where if you let that slip through your mind, or if the time gets low on your attack, they become very lethal indeed, and that has been a problem for Lycus previously, but they are able to grab the opener here, and they are able to make it a double opener, Joe!
My lord. Candle again. Big 2 kills, and a C4 comes out. Ashen, a great kill to try and work one back, and he finds himself in a pretty good spot as well to try and work some more. And Uzi holding a tight angle right here, not able to find the kill on Cryptics, but there it is, the power of Doc putting himself right back up as if nothing ever happened. And Ashen maybe getting ready for a run out, any kind of pick, and he exits the premises. As I say that, look, Lycus have the 2-man advantage, but on these attacks, we've seen so many teams struggle with this mid-round portion. This is the tough part. You got to make something of what you did with those first 2 picks. The early round was great. They have themselves in such a prime position. You lose the Ash for a C4 and Ambi, who's on an Oryx, a great gun, a great fragging op, and you still have to do something with it. They're wasting a lot of time. A little over a minute left, but they haven't made much progress at all. And note, the site is Armory.
And Ozo looking for that information, trying to get a little bit more. They have had those cameras, which gives it, but it's Uzi you have to be careful of. He's going to swing around. He doesn't know he's inside here and just completely bypasses it. Duck, able to get the kill, able to drop down as well. Woos does get one onto Ashen, taking down the Valkyrie, but the Nitro Cell has already been deployed. The Magnet catching the frag grenade, he's trying to drop it down. That Candle able to grab the pick as they're just walking a little bit too carelessly towards Split. The calls coming in. They should hear Uzi hiding behind the furnace. The frag grenade trying to drop, trying to force him out of this position. You just got to push multiple angles at the same time, but they have to get into these positions quickly. The ping's coming through. They know they're going for this doorway. The flashbang's coming in. This should be covered for the drop. The foothole's gonna get a little bit of damage onto Woos and Cryptics, but ultimately not enough. A wonderful shot onto Candle, but ultimately it's in vain. The Dokkaebi able to use the DMR to finish off the last remaining defender.
Back and forth, back and forth. It's like a pendulum. Just keep swinging. Just keep swinging one by one by one. Just round after round after round. And I mean, great stuff from them. And the mid-round was still a little off, I felt like. They got maybe gifted a couple of picks they shouldn't have been able to get, per se. But the way that I see it, they're doing a great job at working everything. I mean, Uzi got away with a little bit more than he should have, but players were taken down in other spots, and Lycus just able to, you know, take full advantage of the picks that they were given. And now Arial, as we look at it, doing practically the same exact thing. So we'll see if Lycus can, you know, make some sort of an adjustment, because they're going to have to make a little bit of one, because you can't really give the same look. Arial, I'm sure, is going to sit there and be like, all right, guys, what can we do differently? They're going to give us something different. So I would assume, you know, Lycus needs to do something different as well, and I'm interested to see what Ozone has cooked up.
Well, going back to Throne and Armory, we'll be relying on the fact that they are able to hold these roaming positions a little bit longer, right? We saw Uzi able to hide away on the top floor, get that kill, drop back into sight, but they were already in a position in that round where as other pieces of the puzzle fell apart, ended up not really mattering, right? You saw the Wu's able to get a pick onto Ashen inside of sight on a vertical angle, just able to start pulling things back for them. So now, how do they play this? Well, the first change is Spike. You can be a little bit more aggressive towards Drug Lab, but Candle on the Amaru, looking to just completely take Arial Arise Academy for a bit of a spin. Uzi is very close by, though, so it's going to require them to have some other form of distraction to enable him to jump in safely. The pressure by Cafe might be the signal for him to do that, but still waiting patiently on this, Joe. And you know what? I can respect that.
Yeah, and Aggro taking a lot of damage here as well, and just waiting for Candle to go through, and there's the call. It's going to be there. That proxy is going to go off, though, so I'm sure that Doc is going to hear this, and Cryptix does go down as well. To Neo, who's taking fights left and right. Uzi's phone does end up going off. He looks the wrong direction at the wrong time. Candle, again, a big entry pick for them, and Neo is now forced to fall. And I mean, Cryptix does go down. It's a good pick to get, because that is, you know, the soft breach. They're kind of reliant upon getting that vertical control. So big pick from them, getting Cryptix off the board, but Uzi on that Doc, who could be oh so impactful as we've seen prior. Definitely, you know, not one you want to give up, but Lycus have to realize that they've given up the top floor. They have this control now, so they have to try and push the pace a little bit, because before time runs out, because a minute 15, and once again, not a lot has necessarily happened for them to really transition this into the end round.
Well, I like this hiding spot by Neo inside of Lab, and it's one that, again, it's a bit like sandbags on Oregon, right? If you don't drone this properly, it's a spot that you'll often kind of forget to peek at. That's where you can really slip in the sidelines and just cut you down from behind. Aggro trying to fill the role, fill the void that Cryptix Death had left in their lineup by opening up some of these vertical options, but a lot less time left in the round for them to do so as well. Ozone goes down to the Nitro Cell, able to grab that Valkyrie back in exchange. But still a little bit difficult now. You deny yourself your hard breach. I believe the hatch is open. I think that's something that, you know, Arial Academy Rise would have done again to play with it on this run. No, it's reinforced this time around. Interesting change from them. And that makes things just even harder for Lycus Empire. As now, Neo still lurking around inside of Lab. I don't think Candle's aware as he's trying to go for this split door, but there's a player on his right. He doesn't even look at it. Neo able to collect the freebie as they're just trying to poke their way through Dragon Doorway. The damage coming in from both sides, able to live for a little bit longer than I'd expect, but not really long in the grand scheme of things. Cut down and another round. It's flip-flopping back, just like you said.
I'm a little confused what they were going for right there. They only had the Habana. They never got hatch open, but they had upstairs completely. They weren't able to get the hatch, and even if they only do open the hatch, what's the plan? Like, what are we trying to do here? Let's be real. You open the hatch, then what? What's the goal? You just drop it without clearing everything? They had people drug side, you know? They had information dragon side, as I'm probably sure you knew.
Yeah.
So what was the end goal? It didn't really feel like there was one, and they weren't able to work the picks like they were the round prior. So once again, what was the plan? Was it just for Arial to just gift you a round? I'm a little confused, personally, as to what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think the idea of bringing that Habana over the ace is that you want that hatch open. So bringing the Habana gives you more flexibility for getting that done, right? 2 Selma charges need to be invested compared to just the 4x Kairos. I agree, though. It's strange not to see them have attempted any of the breaches at all, unless they were going for that as a very late into the round kind of thing. But the X Kairos are pretty obvious, right? It takes a little bit of time because you have to shoot them, reload the gadget, shoot them again, reload the gadget, and then you can start the detonation. So definitely a little bit slower and a little bit more tricky to get these breaches open on up. And you could see they just never really got around to doing that. And now they're going to attack one of the upstairs sites, but starting for a change below, as Candle already making his way into Drug, looking to clear out through Labs and maybe get some control over the top of Arcade to assist with a cafe push. But the rest of the lineup trying to make a little bit of noise. You got that one lurker behind, right? You got to keep the defense on their feet.
Yeah, you definitely do, and I like that they do have the lurker, but he's going to have to make some big plays right here, and I mean, nothing too concerning for Arial ACAD right now. Nothing really going on to really cause them any stress, but you have a couple of sets of nades below. And one nade is getting ready to get thrown out right now. Have all the cams right now really just, watching everything, but I mean, nothing really of concern still. And the nade does end up coming out. Spiker is down. I don't think they know, and there's the Doc Stim coming out. Spiker ends up getting resurrected and more. Has a couple more HP points than he did before. In a minute 20, still nothing going on. And Arial not giving them anything, and they're kind of recognizing that if we don't give this team anything, they're not gonna do anything.
They are working together to keep an eye on this player. Spiker forced to fall back. Candle able to capitalize, looking for the second one on the doorway to Cafe. But, well, Ambi, Neo each get one. Uzi feels left out on the fun and grabs another. Ambi, well, he's not giving them any space at all. Lycus Empire have ground to a complete halt here. And the attack, look, it was too one-dimensional, right? They tried to walk up a staircase. They tried to push through Cafe door. There's a reason why teams will go for this wider sweep over the map, especially when attacking into bunks and daycare, and that's just because you have so little space to play with if you go for this kind of take. And that's what's shown through, right? Lycus Empire had nowhere to go. They were stuck in these tight corridors, and what was the response from Air Rise Academy? Well, we'll just sit back, we'll hold these longer angles, and we'll engage you in the gunfights, because we're feeling capable to do so, and rightly so.
Yeah, it feels like they're playing like Year 4 Siege, They're playing Siege back in my day. They're setting everything up, playing so execute heavy, not really playing off of Candle's aggressiveness. Candle's on fire. Candle's heating up. You let that guy work. You let that guy swing people. You let him get the kills for you. Let him spearhead. Do a little Mr. B Gavini system that RTV had. Let that guy work. Let that guy get your kills. And they're kind of just slowing everyone down and just trying to do such crazy executes, such coordinated executes, and they're just not working because that's not how Siege is played right now. And I like that, they're trying to do such things, but you gotta realize after a couple of rounds of it not working, you gotta switch it up. And I hope that they end up doing that this round, because that's 2 straight rounds that they've lost trying to do something really, different, I guess, something coordinated that just they didn't even really A, get a chance to do, or B, it just didn't work. So gonna want to see them take a little bit more of an aggressive approach here and try something different and, get back to what was working for them on their defenses and just, not frag chasing, but, just trying to get those kills off of the back of Candle.
Room sets up now for this drugs and lab hold, and it's interesting to see how they've gone for it, right? They have this extension again, much like Lycus Empire showed us, where you have that throne presence, you reinforce off some of the rules to either force them to invest hard breach utility away from site, or to force them to go through Dragon Doorway, in which case you have pools at your disposal to kind of mess with them or make that a little bit more difficult, while also maintaining this upstairs presence. And they're bringing a lot of denial to make that work. These bandits making it very difficult for them to push on through this top floor. You pair that with the fact that the only hard breach they have available to themselves is the 2 hard breach charges in the pocket of the Buck. Aggro looking for the Valk below will be rewarded with the kill onto Ashen, as, well, Uzi was in a position to potentially try and refrag, but just wasn't there at the right time. He got there a second too late, and his teammate falls a response. And now losing that pressure in Throne does make this yellow stairs position a little bit weaker, because you can start to see Aggro play from below and try and push this bandit into an awkward position. But Ambi gets 1, gets 2, and I take everything back. They're just holding on tight.
He's so good. He's so good. You know what I mean? Like, he's just so good. But that's Candle and Cryptics. Candle, the big pick right there, going down. And, I mean, they did get opening pick. It was great, but nothing really working off of that right there. They had the control of Armory, and they didn't really do anything with it. So, now they're in a tough spot. 45 seconds, barely even have control of upstairs. They don't actually. They're just figuring it out now, and they do have 1 call left that can help them out a little bit, kind of make sure they don't have to drone, give them a little bit of information that they wouldn't have before. So, you know, that will help them out a little bit. Pick a free one right there for Woo's Neo, not knowing the holes are above him. 20 seconds left. Spiker in a very good spot, but if a call goes out, I'm sure his position will be found out any second now. Woos. There it goes.
Ooh.
He activates the call. Spiker's phone going off. He finds one. Can't get traded. Spiker the second. Ozone finds it. Woos left on his own in an impossible situation, and Arial Arise put themselves on match point. They've decided to ditch our trend of trading rounds and said, nah, fam, it's time to finish this.
Interesting. And now match point for Arial Arise Academy. Interesting to see how that one changed up. I think Lycus Empire, despite getting that initial opening, right, having aggro make that play, hearing the sound of that nitro cell being thrown up above, recognizing that that was where the focus was, and this was his chance to slip through unnoticed. After that, it felt like they didn't really use that presence to the best of their advantage, right? It still took them a little bit of time to clear out this yellow stairs, to clear out the rest of this top floor. And, I mean, Spiker, just hiding away inside of lower arcade, there wasn't enough time for them to drone him. And despite the calls coming out, when there's 10 seconds left and aggro's already looking at site door, he's already worried about that being the main focus point. Bit difficult to turn around at the last second when you're already being shot at. And now, for Lycus Empire, 2 attacking wins to take us through, and attacks have constantly been something that they've struggled to just pull through on. I think that's been a trend, Joe, that we've seen through quite a few of the teams that have come through our qualifier, is that when looking up against teams that are the stronger team, the team that plays together a little bit better, it's difficult to pull those together.
Yeah,
that needs to change. They need to find something.
I feel like they're just overthinking it, you know? Like, I don't know if it's them trying to reinvent the wheel or like just whatever they're trying to do, but I feel like they're just overthinking it. It doesn't need to be that complex. It can be really simple, you know? Making the game simpler is something that really could benefit them right now, and hopefully they come up with something to be able to do that. But they're going to have to go to this site, Armory Throne, where both times they didn't necessarily look great. They did switch it up. You see Ozone switch to the Ace, which is good. You know, it's not the Hibana. You have a Jackal this time as well, Dokkaebi. So, you know, a lot of things that can help them clear the roam a lot quicker and give them more time to set up for an execute, which is kind of what they should have been doing before.
Yeah,
but
and there's
you know,
also a couple more things in their way right this time. You got the Cade clause coming through, just adding that extra bit of denial to the breach. Do you think they still put that same investment in clearing out all of this top floor without that Hibana?
No. I think now with the Hibana gone, I mean, there's 2 ways you can do it. You know, you can do the half clear where you take up 2 waiting, and then, you know, you just do the vert and then get the maintenance wall open. You know, that wall that we see right now getting reinforced. You get that wall open, you kind of go for that, you know, back armor, you clear back throne, you know, get the bomb down and just watch the crosses. Or the way you could do it is you have to clear all of upstairs and the drug side of the map, get the yellow wall open and just go for that plant, which, you know, you shouldn't be losing too often, but, you know, you can't go for a hatch play. That hatch is not going to get open this time, you know? So that's kind of off the cards here. So I assume it'll be a half take. You have nobody on that other side of the map, so it's kind of a linear clear. And Neo, a beautiful shot to get Candle off the board. He's been a little quiet the last couple of rounds, and Arial have done such a good job at shutting him down. It feels like the second they started shutting him down, Galu, they started winning the rounds.
Yep, he has really struggled to be given the same sort of space that he was able to find on the defensive side of things, and that makes sense, right? When you start inside the building and you hear the attackers come onto you, being able to be that chaotic, unstoppable force that just runs rampant is a little bit easier to do. Now, instead, having to have the rest of the team come up big here because, well, it's match point. Arial Rise Academy, Joe, and one more round is all they'll need as time continuing to tick away. We're halfway through the round. This first pick coming through for them has been their signal to back away, to fall back downstairs. 4 members playing around the site, and Neo back in his comfortable little position inside of labs.
Yeah, and that's just a tough spot for them to really clear, but they have enough. for what the take that they wanted to do. They can do all the vertical that they want, get that throne wall open if they so choose, which they're kind of going to have to. But the second it does really get open, they're going to have to clear these players out of these positions, and they're not really able to do that at the moment. And the Cade goes off. The first one will get open. It does destroy the Cade, actually. So did that get open? Yes, the wall does get open. So now Ashen playing close. I believe there's a player behind that throne as well. Yes, and 2 players in split. So much going on in aggro. Just misses the player, not able to connect anything. The nade's going to go out. I'm not sure you heard it pulled. The Wamai does go off, however. It saves Uzi's life. No damage taken. That's both nades going out in 15 seconds. That's not going to be runnable. So many players looking at this breach from Arial. That's just going to be a gun range. And Lycus, their record on the line. Uzi finds one. Ozone does get one, however. Finds a second, but not able to find a third. Arial Arise Academy close out the game, winning 4 straight rounds and find themselves bouncing back to be 1-1, back to their current form.
And well, I think you might have said it correctly, right? I think you hit the nail on the head with Lycus Empire just trying to do a little bit too much with their attacks, trying to be a little bit too fancy, when really you keep things simple, you keep things streamlined. A map like Theme Park, where you can have this very, not telegraphed, but you can have this very consistent pattern for approach by playing around this cache balcony, because you get access to the top of Dragon through the window, you get access to the cache to the doorway, you can also play around the hatch into control, and that is a nice little launching pad to get yourself through the rest of the map. And I think in too many rounds, we saw Lycus Empire try something different, and very quickly it was obvious to Arial Arise that there wasn't the right support to make these positions tenable. And what do we see happening when that happens? They step up into aggressive space, they take these gunfights, and with the talent on Arial Arise Academy, they win those gunfights.
Yeah, and that's just something they've typically done. It's kind of been their style. I talk to a lot of guys who were on that old S2 roster, and they just say it the best way you possibly could. You just swing, and then you just die. Like, you just die. And they kind of fell away from that in that WW game. And credit to WW. I mean, that's the first team that's ever really beaten them, given it was a best of 1. But it's something they fell away from, and it feels like, as this game started to move a little bit further on, they started to get back into their ways and really just started taking fights. The confidence was there, and the teamwork was there, and it really showed on that round count. And I mean, just really figuring it out towards the end. It's a good sight to see if you're a fan of this team.
Yeah, now Lycus Empire, they are looking down at that 0-2, so it's do or die for them in their next round. As one more loss will see them out of SCS, and well, that's something you don't want to do, right? You want to stay around for as long as you possibly can. Arial Academy able to move on to a more comfortable position in that 1-1, and we got to see earlier on some other opponents reach that position as well, so maybe we'll get to see those 2 teams battle it out later on. But look at this scoreboard. Ambi, brilliant job. A couple members, Ambi, Spike, and Neo, all hitting double digits.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the great stuff coming from them. You have Ambi just playing so well. Spiker had a big couple of rounds as well. I mean, you look back on those attacks, their first attack round that they won was off the back of a 4K from him. So, that was kind of the way that they kickstarted this game for themselves. And I mean, looking at it for me personally, we talked about it before. All the players from Lycus needed to step up today. Cryptic's one of them, that really needed to. He played so well in that first game from them, and didn't look great. But we do have another interview. So love that. Love interviews. Who doesn't? And Ashen.
How's it go?
Great from you. I mean, look, I always ask this question every time, but like, just looking at the guys you have on your team, how easy does it make just for you as a player just to have so much talent around you?
Well, you see, I went 5-8 or 5-9. I didn't really do much. Neo really stepped up this game. A lot of people I know have been like, on the edge about it, because it's like, we had Spiff obviously, but Neo, I think this was a really good game for him to prove kind of, like what he's here for and what he can do. I think he had the most kills on the team. Remember Ambi? And Spiker, he really did step up. He had like that 4K the first round, and then he had like 10 or 12 kills by the end of it. Just walking around with ace. So we all know Uzi's taking the space, and Ambi's doing whatever we need. So.
Yeah, and I mean, this may be a little bit of a tough question, but losing to JJ, not great. It kind of puts you guys in a position where you quote lost. It's not your first map you've ever lost, but it's the first time you've ever really lost something. So kind of coming off a loss, a bounce back isn't something you've had to do before with this team. So how'd you guys really kind of muster that one up to be able to kind of put up a great performance today?
Yeah, obviously losing is a big thing, like especially with us, because obviously winning SFCL twice, we've only lost one map during that time, or two maps, and us as a team, we haven't lost in 8 months. And losing, honestly, that's a big losing that game was very important, because now we know what we need to do. We've had a lot of problems, which that's on us. With the moves that we made, like with Spiker and Asian, Neo going away for vacation, that stuff happens. We haven't been able to practice, but that's on us at the end of the day. So it's like we got to put our heads down, we got to grind. JJ can talk all that shit, but if you just look at my career, 15 times I've played him, that was his first time beating me. So just want to put that out.
Dang. Could not say the same for myself. But look, you guys put yourselves to 1-1 now. I mean, you're kind of back to your winning ways, it feels like, but you have a couple of things to go. And I mean, I personally want to hear this from you. You guys have a lot of pro league competition, a lot of CL competition. SFCL, you won it twice, dominant fashion, obviously, but not as much top tier competition as there is here. So is there any different way you're approaching this as you were to that league or not?
Yeah, obviously I think my team definitely knows what it takes to win. We won SFCL, that type of stuff. But also, me and Ambi, we also did win before. We won it twice on Wichita, Dickhead. We face hardships, we face struggles against them, against One Shot, those top tier teams in the league at the time. And we knew when we sucked and when we had to bring it back, when we had to put our heads down, we had to grind, all that type of stuff. And, we're in that time right now. We are ready to go. We're eager to play. We're eager to get better. We're going into scrims. It's not just day in, day out. It's every round counts. You know what I mean? It's this is the time. Like I said, we haven't had much practice, but this is the time where it really matters, because nothing in the past matters before. Winning SFCL twice doesn't matter, because this is the league where you really prove yourself. This is where if you want to win a league, this is the league you want to win. There's pro league talent in here. There's people watching. You have tons of viewers watching. This is the stage that you want to prove yourself.
Absolutely. And the last thing from me, you have Neo. Obviously, he's new, and I mean, he hasn't really been on a top team before. And I mean, you said it. He was on vacation. You didn't have a lot of time to practice with you guys. How are you guys trying to really get that kind of winning personality in? Because there is kind of that winning culture with your team, and for someone to kind of come into it who's not really used to that, not used to practicing that way, playing that way, having those expectations for themselves. How are you, kind of easing him into kind of that system to be able to perform at such a high ability really with you guys?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of different, it's a big difference in the team system coming from where he was and where we were now. We're very fast paced, in your face type of team. And, you kind of have to get up to pace with that. It's a lot of encouragement, especially in that Favelas game where he did clutch that 1v4 and he had that 1v2, and he was playing really well. On Twitter there, all that support, that's a big thing for him. And it's all about encouragement. At the end of the day, he's learning, and there's a reason we picked this guy up. We see his mechanics, we see the talent he has, we see his potential and what he can grow into. So just about getting the reps in, and he's already nasty now. Just imagine by the end of SCS, where we make it, this guy could really be something special. So I think he's a really good player. There's a reason we picked him up, and he's still growing. So.
And last thing, of course, any final thoughts? Anything to say to anybody? Any fans, people?
Yeah, congrats to JJ. That's her one win. Shout out Arial, shout out Rusty, shout out Karma, shout out Chowder, shout out my team. Huge step up for Spiker. It's a big one back. Neo, Ambi, Uzi, all of them, all the team. Shout out to them. So.
Well, good luck to you guys. I'm sure you don't feel like you need it, but big season ahead and a lot of tough games ahead. So good luck to you guys.
Yep. Have a good night.
Loved every second of it. Love Ashen. I mean, that winning culture, he's been on that interview stage plenty of times. So, you know, he knows what to say. So, you know, I mean, good stuff from them. They kind of bounce back. They're used to winning, and I mean, they're kind of back on that track right now.
Yeah, and if you can keep winning, do that. But it is important. I really appreciate what you said, right? Is that they hadn't lost in a while. They have had such a successful run. So to accept that defeat very well, right? Because sometimes you lose a game and things start to go chaotic. You start to break down. People start blaming each other. It sounds like they've come away from that game, learnt a lot. They're back in full force today, right? That defensive half was very clean. Their attacks that they were winning, they were well worked. They were pushing together. They were helping each other to get the picks required. And you heard him highlight Spike. They did a very good job to bring him into the fold. But that is it for the first half of the stream. We got 2 more games, so make sure you're back for them. We got HK Rebels, we got EQV4, we got S2, we got Vipers. You'll want to be here for those games later on, so don't go. Be back soon.
On a double, though, and he finds a third through the smoke. Just an ult. Getting it to 3K with an ult. With 3 seconds left, final last